Hey everyone, the Professor here, and let's get ready to rumble! Today we have a clash of the keychain multi-tools. In this corner, weighing in at 2.33 ounces, the Dime by Gerber. And in this corner, weighing in at 1.98 ounces, the Squirt PS4 by Leatherman. Who will take this bout? Let's find out. In all seriousness, there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of YouTube comparing these two multi-tools. They're both keychain multi-tools, both around 2 ounces in total weight. They have a few differences, but they have a very similar tool set overall. Some people will buy both, but you probably won't carry both at the same time. The first thing that's easy to make the decision based on is going to be the exclusives. So what can you get with one that you don't get with the other? Well, in this case, the Dime has essentially two exclusives. A pair of tweezers. There are no tweezers on the Leatherman Squirt PS4, although you can use the pliers for tweezers in some cases. The Dime also has what I consider its greatest selling point, the retail package opener tool. Great for opening up your clamshell packages, your packaging tape, without damaging the item inside. What are the exclusives on the Squirt? Well, technically they don't have anything that the Dime doesn't have. Although, I'm going to say this file is essentially an exclusive, because when you compare this file to the file on the Dime, the Leatherman file is much longer than the one on the Dime. The Leatherman file has much better actual grit. The Leatherman also has the file edge on the sides, so you can use this for grooving or notching. Essentially, if you want a file, you're going to go with the Leatherman Squirt. But once you get past the exclusives, first thing that a lot of people will just skip over will be the Lanyard Ring. The Lanyard Ring on the Leatherman can rotate in. If you remove this ring, you could hide this part if you don't want it sticking out, which gives you a smoother form factor. The Lanyard Ring on the Dime is not movable. You could remove this ring, but you're still going to have this little piece jutting out. The first tool that most people will think of when they think of a multi-tool is the knife blade. They are both set up so that the blade is down from the side that they flip out from, so you can use them both in this sort of a motion. But they're different style blades. The Dime is a spade-shaped blade, and it is full flat ground. It is ground on this side and on this side. The Leatherman Squirt PS4, on the other hand, is a clip point knife, and it is chisel ground. You can see it has a grind on this side, but not on this side. They're about the same in terms of thickness, but you can see that the Leatherman blade is noticeably longer than the Dime's blade. Not a huge difference in total length, but a little bit of one. One other tool used for cutting. Both of these come with a little pair of scissors. In the interest of saving time, I separated the blade and scissor gauntlets into a separate video, linked below. The blades on each are about equal in terms of cutting ability, and neither of those blades were sharpened before the test, so they are both factory edges. The knife blades, it's going to come down to what you value more. If you want the full flat ground, you're going to give the edge to the Dime. If you don't care about the chisel ground, you want the extra length or the clip point shape, you're going to go with the Leatherman Squirt PS4. On the scissors, slight edge in ergonomics and comfort, slight edge in cutting length, and very noticeable edge in opening when compared to the Dime. So on scissors, the Squirt PS4 wins. Next, we're going to get into the drivers. In terms of ease of actioning the drivers, I've got to give it to the Dime. This nice cutout in the scale makes both drivers easy to access. Whereas on the Leatherman, as I said in the individual review, the scale has no cutout for the drivers. You've got to have a little bit of a thumbnail in order to get those out. Now we can compare the two driver lengths. The shank of the flat driver on the Leatherman Squirt is a little bit longer than the shank on the Dime in terms of its taper. This one doesn't taper much at all. Compare the fineness of the edges. On the small Phillips driver, or very small flat driver, The actual what it tapers down to is much smaller on the Leatherman, which will make it work for smaller screws. The tapering of the shank, this one has a thicker shank back here, so it's a more sturdy, it's less likely to break. And also the dime has its bottle opener right here. That's going to interfere. I mean, you can get away from that by doing that, but you don't have to do that with the Leatherman. And if you wanted to, for whatever reason, you still can. Both drivers are better on the Leatherman than they are on the dime, even if they're a little harder to access. And since I just mentioned the bottle opener, I will talk about that now. So the bottle opener on the Gerber dime is very prominent. It is kind of a defining feature of its shape, and it does not retract. As I discussed in the review for the dime itself, you can't really remove this very easily, even though there are these torques, because you're just going to strip them out. The nice thing about having this sticking out, aside from giving it a bit of character, is that you have a more solid bottle opener. The bottle opener on the Squirt is again a little hard to get out, but it's just this little notch here, and you can see how thin that is. That's all you get for a bottle opener cap lifter. The dime blows it out of the water. And consequently, because it doesn't retract and it is so prominent, if you carry a dime, people are going to think you're using the bottle opener a lot, even if you're not. Let's open them up and talk about the pliers. Both are spring-loaded. Both open to right at about the same size. Shape in terms of how much actually makes contact. The dime has a little flat section near the tip that makes contact, but behind it you can see that there's a big gap. The Squirt just comes together at the tip, and then there's sort of a triangular gap as it backs off. The sizes of them are very similar on the Squirt, because this here and this here are what are providing the spring on the pliers. The spring on the dime, on the other hand, is coming from these little metal springs. These are more likely to wear out or give out on you than the spring on the Leatherman. I can tell you that I would much rather use the Leatherman because of the ergonomics here. Your fingers or thumb rest on a much smoother surface, whereas on the dime, you feel this gapping here more. This is not pleasant to squeeze on. And there's a few more sharp edges. It could have used some chamfering, some finishing a little bit better. So I'm going to give the pliers edge to the Squirt, mostly on ergonomics. So tools recap. The exclusives to the dime are the tweezers and the retail package opener. On the Leatherman, it doesn't technically have an exclusive, although the file practically is an exclusive. The knife is going to come down to preference as to blade shape and blade length. The scissors, there's an ergonomic and a hair breadth advantage on the cutting length for the Leatherman Squirt. On the drivers, an edge on the Leatherman. Edge on the bottle opener definitely goes to the dime, although it can't retract. And then on the pliers, edge to the Leatherman in terms of ergonomics mainly. Then let's talk about other factors that might make you choose one over the other. The PS4 costs almost $33, and the dime costs between $15 and some change and about $20, depending on the coloration and where you get it. So in terms of availability, I have seen dimes at Bass Pro Shops and Targets, as well as Amazon. The Leatherman I have not found in a brick and mortar store. I had to order mine off of Amazon. So it's definitely easier to replace the dime and less painful to replace when you look at the cost. So if you're someone who loses your tools, if you're putting this on your keys, I really hope you're not losing your whole keychain, but if you're afraid of that, you probably want to go with the dime versus the Leatherman. Quality, again for the ergonomics, is going to go to the Leatherman Squirt PS4. In terms of weight, as I showed at the very beginning of this video, the dime is heavier than the Squirt. And then comparing the sizes, the dime, when you add in the bottle opener, is longer. They're about equally thick. And the dime is slightly wider. Bigger and heavier for the dime, which in terms of EDC is usually a bad thing, especially when you're not gaining a lot. You actually give up blade length, even though you are getting a bigger tool and a chunkier tool hanging off your keys. So carryability, I would definitely give it to the Leatherman Squirt, where I have carried both of these for over a month now, and the dime looks like I've carried it for over a month. It gets some pocket wear. It does rub off. Now, if you like a worn-in look, maybe you like that. The finishing, however, on the Leatherman Squirt, the aluminum scales, there's still a slight scratch there, and a little bit of a scratch on this edge here. But that's basically it. Because of the way that these open, they don't scratch on the insides. Whereas the dime, every time you're opening it, these sharp edges here are scraping against the other side. So whichever side opens more first, it's scraping. And as a result of that, the finish that already had trouble staying in place wears off even faster on these surfaces. You can see it more on this side with the blue, especially right there. I've also heard of more quality issues in terms of the pliers breaking with a dime than with the Squirt, but of course you are paying for that added quality. In terms of my ratings of comparing these two, the utility for both of these tools, I gave a 4 for the size factor. It's about average, and they really do have about the same tool set. On awesomeness, the dime scored a 3, and the Squirt scored a 4. So, slight edge to the Leatherman Squirt PS4. However, the dime is about $15 and some change to $20, so it falls in the excellent category. And the Leatherman is almost $33, so it's a great or a 6. On the weight, they both score a 7, although there is a slight weight edge for the Leatherman. It's a higher 7. And if you're not used to carrying one versus the other, you're not really going to feel that weight difference all that much. On ergonomics, the dime is only fair in ergonomics, and a lot of that comes from the pliers, whereas the Leatherman Squirt PS4 is good in ergonomics. And then for legality, the only people who are going to care about this are going to be government buildings in your TSA, and they're going to care equally about one versus the other, so they both have a legality of 6. The difference between the ratings ranks is +2 for the Leatherman. And then looking at value, the dime's value is utility times awesomeness over cost. 4 times 3 over 9 minus 7, you get a value of 6. On the Squirt, utility times awesomeness over 9 minus cost. 4 times 4 over 9 minus 6, 5.33. So very small difference in value rank. So where does that leave us? I'll be honest, I bought the Squirt PS4 after I'd been carrying a dime for a while. I had only heard good things about the Squirt, and a lot of people said, given the choice, you should go with the Squirt. I don't think that's the case for everyone. If you need to carry a retail package opener or a pair of tweezers and you don't want to add them another way into your EDC, the dime is going to be more for you. If you want a file, which personally I don't find I use the file all that much, you want the Leatherman. There were times when I was carrying the Leatherman that I wished I had my dime on me because I wanted that package opener. When I carried the dime, but not the Leatherman, when I'm using some of the tools, especially the pliers, I miss the Leatherman. I have basically decided that I don't need the retail package opening tool except for when I'm at home, and I already keep a dime at home near where I bring my packages in. So I'm going to probably put the Leatherman Squirt on my keychain, which surprises me because there were times when I was carrying just it that I missed my dime, but not enough to feel that warrant of that extra weight. And while they are the same weight rank, the size factor in your pocket and that slight weight advantage that the Leatherman has over the dime, and just the quality and appearance of it, I prefer carrying the Leatherman on my keys. But I wouldn't say avoid the dime. So I guess my final verdict is carry the Leatherman Squirt PS4, but keep a Gerber dime by your front door. Sorry guys, not a blown out of the water conclusion to this. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my verdict, and if there are any other tools you would like me to review individually and then pair head to head like this. This is a different thing for me, but again, in the end, I'm going to carry this, but I'm going to keep this as well, just to keep it at home. That's all for today. Class dismissed.